accept all of your emotions. I don't think this actually happens enough, because a lot of us, when we go through emotional turmoil, we tend to push away those emotions. You know, when you go through a breakup, when you lose a job, when you go through moments where you're mad, you ask yourself the direct question, why am I mad? Why am I upset? You know, instead of asking yourself, why are you mad? Or why are you upset? You know, those two questions have a difference, although worded the exact same. One person is asking himself or herself, why am I mad? I shouldn't be mad. While the other person is asking, what is the reason that made me mad or upset? You know, because a lot of times when we throw away our emotions, we throw away our humanity. You know, what makes us human are these emotions. You know, sometimes we get mad and we wish that we were more patient, right? And a person who is patient doesn't mean they don't get mad, they're just able to control it. You know, a person who gets upset but controls that feeling doesn't mean they're not upset, they're just able to control it and move it around, you know, pivot it away in a way that actually benefits them, you know. And not only does it take away our humanity when we throw away emotions, but it takes away in our individuality. You know, a lot of times we look to our left and to our right and we say, this person wouldn't be mad if this happened to him, if this person would be upset and this person would be mad. But what makes us is the fact that we feel the emotions the way that we do, you know, not the way that somebody else does. Because if that was the case, we'd be all carbon copies of each other. You know, the thing that genuinely makes us so different and unique, especially emotions. So make sure you take that into consideration when asking yourself why you're mad. You know, if you're upset or you're going through emotional turmoil, ask yourself the reason that is happening so that maybe you can improve on that. If you are looking to not get mad at things, you know, maybe instead of asking yourself, why am I mad? I shouldn't be mad. Ask yourself, what made me mad and how could I control it next time? If you're upset, you know, ask yourself, why am I? What's the reason I am upset? And then go for a solution. You know, maybe trying to look at it from a side of the glass is half full. You know, this happened to me and this is good for me, and I need to trust in my own unique journey.